Here's a question about a phrase we hear a lot these days, particularly applied to conservatives: conspiracy theories. Listen.
Hi, Dinesh. My name is Ileana. Whenever conservatives advance an idea, the left routinely dismisses them as conspiracy theories. Can you address the issue of conspiracy theories and if they're always invalid?
Well, this question is very well framed because when we hear from the left and from the media, this is a conspiracy theory, the automatic assumption is it's got to be false. In other words, the idea here is that any insinuation that there might be a conspiracy afoot is on the face of it preposterous. Now, I would concede that conspiracies are difficult to organize. In general, conspiracies fail because human nature is too fallible. When you have particularly elaborate conspiracies, someone is going to go tell, someone's going to rat it out, or someone's not going to do what they were told. Think of, by the way, the conspiracy to assassinate Lincoln. That was a conspiracy. So right there, conspiracies do exist. But the conspiracy was kind of blown because one guy was supposed to go after the vice president and he didn't really do it. Another guy was supposed to kill the Secretary of State. So, Wilkes Booth went into the theater and shot Lincoln, and even his plan didn't exactly go as planned. And eventually, of course, the conspirators were caught and they were hanged. But the point is, the conspiracy was a botched conspiracy, although it was partially successful in that it did succeed in ending Lincoln's life. Now, when we look through history, history is rife with conspiracies. Conspiracies all over the place. Think, for example, of the conspiracy to assassinate Julius Caesar. Think of Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar. Brutus and Cassius conspire together, and then they bring in a whole bunch of other conspirators, Casca and so on, and together they go, let's go get Caesar. That's not a conspiracy theory, that's a conspiracy. The mafia is a conspiracy. The mafia operates by a kind of structure, a conspiratorial, secretive structure, governed, by the way, by all the rules of conspiracy. Things like the rule of silence, omerta. You can't say what you've been told. Why? Because you're part of this secret circle of crime, and your only communication is with your fellow criminals. There are some conspiracies, of course, that are, well, it's not clear that they were conspiracies. Lee Harvey Oswald shot JFK. Now, was he part of a conspiracy? Was the mafia involved? I don't think so, but there have been credible arguments that it was. Were the Russians involved? Lee Harvey Oswald at one point, I believe, went to Russia. Was this part of a Cold War conspiracy? And Oswald was simply maybe he wasn't even the shooter at all. So there have been all these wild flying theories, and I guess at the end of it, my view of this is that probably it was just Lee Harvey Oswald. So, yes, you do have an assassin, but you don't have a more elaborate conspiracy of the kind that has been alleged over the past 50 years. Here's a conspiracy that is true. Russia collusion. Not a conspiracy of Trump and Russia. That's the conspiracy that was alleged by the left. The real conspiracy is the conspiracy between the Clinton campaign and its representatives like Michael Sussman and tech executives and other researchers all working together to frame Trump. And they were knowingly looking for dirt on Trump. Let's try to find the kind of stuff that will make it look like Trump is colluding with Russia. Now, the media was in on that conspiracy, but the media were not directly part of the conspiracy. So here we distinguish between a conspiracy theory and a coordination theory. And what I mean by that is that the media wants to attack Trump. And so what they do is they become fall guys for the conspiracy. They are coordinating with the Democrats. The Democrats feed them information. And so, for example, very specifically, Franklin Foer, writer at Slate magazine, is fed information. And he's only too willing to write it up. Why? Not because he's part of a conspiracy. He didn't know that the Democrats cooked it up, but he was coordinating with them to get Trump. Here's another example of a coordination theory. Think of the relationship between the Biden administration and the cartels on illegal immigration. I don't believe that they're conspiring. Biden doesn't have phone calls with the heads of the cartels. Hey, listen, you bring all the illegals over to the border. We'll take it from there. No, but Biden knows that if you want to get illegals into this country for political reasons to long-term benefit the Democratic Party, who's going to get them there? Who's going to bring people all the way from El Salvador and Nicaragua? How are they going to get across hundreds of miles? Well, the cartels already have a system for doing that. So there's a kind of knowing wink, wink collusion between the Biden administration and the cartels. It's not an overt conspiracy, but it is a coordination. The Biden people fully understand what the cartels are doing and allow them and let them do it. Why? Because it's to their political benefit. So by and large, you notice that these conservative conspiracy theories, one by one, are all proving to be true. But in some cases, they're actual conspiracies. In some cases, we're dealing with left-wing coordination. You'll see in my movie upcoming 2000 Mules, I get into all this because when we're dealing with these issues covered by the movie, we have to ask, how is all this being organized and who's doing it? Is this a conspiracy theory or is it a coordination theory?